Hi. Today I'd like to talk to you about the impact of the unfortunate death of Anton Scalia. He was really quite a guy, and not only conservative, but brilliant, a great constitutional scholar. And you got the feeling he was sort of the only human being on the Supreme Court. Everybody else is so guarded about their dignity and staying away from interaction with the people who they rule on behalf of. But not Scalia. He would go to dinners, he'd be involved, he'd give speeches, he'd give lectures, and you really got a feel for him as a human being. He'll really be missed. Well, that's the Washington eulogy, 30 seconds, and then we go on to what's up next. The king is dead, long live the king. I think that the Scalia death makes it absolutely vital that the Republican Party not let Obama fill that vacancy, no matter who he nominates. Even if he nominates the greatest centrist judge, even if he nominates one of the candidates they're talking about as a guy who was confirmed unanimously as an appellate court judge, appointing even a moderate to that position throws away the opportunity to appoint a really strong conservative. Ever since Obama was elected, there were people who voted Republican for Congress, both in 10 and 12 and 14. And we've attempted to run the government from Congress, and it hasn't worked. Obama's executive powers are still intact and go very far. But at some point in our constitutional system, you need to stop and say, let's have an election, and let's have the people decide which way they want to go. So rather than elect somebody who's sort of a centrist, who won't be too far in one direction or the other, and certainly rather than appointing and confirming a liberal, it's really important that we stop and we say this is a fundamental question as to which direction our country goes in, and let's let the voters decide. If they decide for Hillary, then go with it. If they decide for the Republicans, then appoint someone who reflects those values. And I think that that's the proper course for democracy. Now, without Scalia there, you're going to have a lot of 4-4 decisions in the Supreme Court, and a 4-4 decision is a non-decision, which means, in effect, the opinion of the Circuit Court prevails, the step before the Supreme Court. And if there are conflicting Circuit Court opinions, the court in one part of the country ruled one way and the other part ruled another way, then there really is no prevailing law, and the question remains unsettled. If it's a challenge to a presidential order, the order stands, if that's what the lower court decided or if the lower court's deadlocked. So this is an unfortunate situation. It's one that will lead to considerable frustration, but it's the way it ought to be in a democracy. This ought to be something where the people really decide. And here I think that there's a very important point that actually Laura Ingraham made to me. She clerked for the Supreme Court. And she made the point when Harriet Miers was appointed by George W. Bush and then shot down, that it is not enough just to be a conservative. You've got to appoint someone that knows how to work the court, in effect almost a majority leader for the Supreme Court. Somebody who knows how to work it, knows how to bring judges over to his side, can shape and develop legal arguments that make sense to a broad spectrum of judges as opposed to just narrowly voting on the left or the right side of the spectrum. From that point of view, I think Cruz has a tremendous advantage because he's actually practiced before the Supreme Court a lot. He was #1 at Harvard Law School and really is tremendously erudite in legal matters. So there are many factors that go into choosing a presidential candidate, and I'm not endorsing anybody, but that would be one to consider as you go to the polls to vote. By the way, I want to note that I do a podcast. In fact, as soon as I finish this today, I'm going to go tape that podcast. And it's a half-hour discussion, in depth, of the presidential race, of both party primaries. It's called Play by Play. And you can get it by clicking on the link with this video, or go to dickmorris.com anytime, or to iTunes, or to podcast1.com. Thanks for watching.